Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another fun-filled, exciting, and action-packed edition of Deep Recruiting. We hope you're looking forward to a great week, that you've got a ton in your pipeline. What I want to focus today on is basically how you can solve any problem in your recruiting day, not just your biggest problem, but really a methodology to address all the problems you're running into if you just do it one at a time. A lot of people, they're simply determined to push through whatever it is that they're actually experiencing instead of taking a step back and looking for a better solution. Taking a step back, instead of trying to swim through a swamp, maybe they can walk around the swamp. Maybe there's a bridge for that swamp. They're just not taking the time. And in doing so, they're losing time, they're losing money, and they're expending way more effort than they really need to expend. What I want to do is give you a process that's going to help you make even more money. The problem solvers, and this should motivate you, problem solvers will typically finish stronger in the end than the people that actually work hard. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what really is going to. Now, solving problems effectively means building your critical thinking skills. The best part of this is building your critical thinking skills is actually a very simple process. But as I'm going to share, it's really not that easy for a lot of people to do. The majority of critical thinking skills comes from being able to identify patterns and understanding the underlying systems that drive these patterns. Looking for what can be improved really at a foundational level. That's where innovation ultimately comes from. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's looking at the wheel, looking at the processes to create the wheel, identifying what's wrong with the wheel, and figuring out different ways to make the wheel more productive, better ways to make the wheel stronger, more effective, smaller, bigger, give it more applications, whatever is actually appropriate. So how do we apply this process to recruiting? Let's go over a few of these mechanisms. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you a personal example of how I took myself through this process and the end result. Now, the first step you have to do is you have to determine what are the results you're not getting, what are the results you're unhappy with. You need to define it for yourself. And it could be, let's just pick an example. For example, no one ever gives me referrals. You're conducting interviews and the people you're talking to never send you a referral. That's an unhappy result. That's the problem. The problem is you're not getting any referrals. And that's what we have to do. The second stage is defining that. And what the issue with that is if I'm not getting any referrals, well, then I have to work harder to find good people. And if I'm having to work harder to find good people, that's keeping me from filling other positions I could potentially be using my time for, or going to lunch with my friends, or going to happy hour with my friends, or getting home at a decent hour, or not spending the weekend at work. Whatever it is for you, the problem of not getting referrals always comes back to it's harder work for you. So the problem is you're not getting referrals. The problem is it's making you work harder. Third, I want you to define the results you want to achieve. In the case of referrals, the example we're using here, I want at least one qualified referral for every person I meet with, every person I interview, every person I talk to, every person I have a phone conversation with. I want to get, on average, one qualified referral out of that particular person. Fourth thing you do, and this is pretty basic stuff, you have to put the work in before, during, and after every conversation you have with a prospect, with an existing candidate or client. You have to record what you said, and by record, I don't mean on your phone or with a voice recorder, but maybe after the conversation, you take down notes. What did you like? What didn't you like? Put it all in the context of what that conversation was. You asked a question, you didn't get the results you wanted. What was the issue with that? Was it your tonality? Was it your pitch? Was it your choice of words? Did maybe you not earn upfront trust and respect? Were you not controlling the frame of the conversation? Was your timing bad? A lot of people do not want to confront themselves on their own failure and what they're doing wrong. They don't believe they're doing anything wrong. And when you're unable to take responsibility for what you're doing wrong, you're doomed to never improve. There's a phrase out there that I really like. You have to participate in your own rescue, because if you don't, you are going to be doomed to that fail. If you're asking for that referral and you're constantly getting rejected, no one's giving you a referral, what are you doing incorrectly? And are you doing that same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results? Or maybe you're blaming somebody else for your inadequacies. If what you're experiencing is always somebody else's fault, if it's never changing, then I need to ask you another question. When are you going to grow up? When are you going to grow out of your own personal blind spots and blaming everybody else for everything that's going on? Fifth, once you've identified the patterns of behavior, then you need to figure out what the underlying cause is of that behavior. What is the original source? And is that source under your control? If it's not under your control, maybe you need to add something to the process that you can establish a level of control over that. Are you leading the interaction with your particular candidate? Again, getting back to trust and respect at the beginning of the conversation. Are you doing all these basic things? Think of it as a puzzle. Try to figure that puzzle on your own. If you can't figure out, go to AI, use Grok, use ChatGPT, use OpenAI, whatever tool you choose to use, put the questions in, refine your questions, ask it over and over and over again. Record yourself during these conversations. Take a critical look at the process you're going through when you're talking to somebody and ask yourself, am I handling this correctly? Am I controlling the frame in a way that's going to lead me to get the information I really need? And seventh, now that you've been implementing that change for a while, once you've identified that change and you've begun to implement it, the fun part is coming up with a different solution if the first one isn't working. This creativity part should be a fun and exciting thing for you to do. You should be excited every single time you get involved in this. So you want to come up with a solution, you want to implement that solution, give that solution time to work, then go back and evaluate. Am I getting the results I want? Sometimes you're going to know quickly. Sometimes it's going to take you a while to figure it all out. And once you have figured that out, go back to the creativity part and either tweak it or throw it out, try it again. Even if your results are good, you may want to go back and tweak it and then evaluate your tweaks. Is my process improving? Is my process not improving? It's that whole back and forth to figure out how to do it. And the eighth step in this process is to practice, drill, and rehearse. Do it over and over and over and over again. So it's just habit. You don't even have to think about what you're doing. It just comes naturally to you. To do all this, you're going to have to train yourself to think differently, to listen differently, and to speak differently to other people. One example I want to give you, it's not my personal example, but this is getting back to the old Soviet Union days. When the Soviet Union recognized that they were leaking information, that somebody wasn't playing ball the way they needed to, and information was getting back to the West, what they would do is, let's say they've got 10 spies that they're dealing with. They would give each of the 10 spies a different piece of information, and they would send them out in the field. And then they would wait and see which piece of information leaked to the West. And when they found out which piece of information leaked to the West, they would recall that particular agent back to Moscow and fix the problem. That is an iterative process, iterative, if I can pronounce it correctly, process that you need to employ when you're applying solutions. Now, I promised you a personal story on how I handled this, how I went through this process. When I first started recruiting, the company I was with would issue $100 gift certificates, really traveler's checks, American Express traveler's checks. It's $100, it's just as good as cash. Now, being a good little soldier, I tried to offer the $100. And frankly, I was met with derision. I was met with contempt, and I was met with kind of a no thank you. In other words, that $100 just wasn't enough. So after doing this for a while and getting the pushback and not getting the referrals I really wanted, I had to take a step back and look at this critically. What am I doing that is generating these results? I'm not going to change my company's referral policy. I'm the new kid on the block. People are asking for $2,000. I'm offering them $100. Obviously, some incongruence here, right? So I thought about it for a while, and I realized that my best solution was going to be to not offer a referral fee at all. And every time people would ask me, well, what's your referral fee? I would tell them I don't pay a referral fee because, frankly, I don't have to. I'm good enough that people give me referrals without me paying for them. Now, I didn't say it quite like that. It was a little bit more involved, but again, you need to figure that part out for yourself. I'm trying to give you the broad brush over strokes here on how to do it. And once I started doing that, I did the process, didn't work, did the process, didn't work, kept changing it, kept altering it, kept tweaking it until my referral rate was actually at 70%. In fact, every time I interviewed somebody, I would walk out with 2 referrals, 70% of the time, never had to give away the $100 gift certificate. Funny little story is I never spent those $100 gift certificates. I never gave them to anybody. The company kept giving them to me to give to the candidates, and I never gave them out because I never promised them to anybody. I wasn't allowed to turn them back in, so they simply accumulated in my desk drawer. And when I left that company, I would love to have seen the face on the person who discovered quite a bit of money sitting in that desk drawer. Must have been an interesting conversation they had. I want to challenge you to find the biggest problem in your life and follow this process. And let's go over them again. Number 1, evaluate the results you're getting. Number 2, identify the obvious problem. Number 3, define what results you want to get to. Number 4, record the steps leading to the problem. Number 5, identify the underlying process that is creating the actual problem. And most importantly, what is your role in creating or sustaining the process that is creating those actual problems? Let's get to the fun part. Let's come up with an actual solution. I need to scroll down here a little bit to make sure I don't miss any steps. It's not going fast enough. Sorry about that, guys. One quick second. So unleashing your creativity, we talked about that. Ask for help, even if you're going to AI, even if you're going to your boss, even if you're going to your manager. I want you to implement that solution. Constantly evaluate the results you're getting. Tweak the process, or just throw it out altogether until you have a process that you're really happy with. Constantly create and build something new that's going to work. And always remember, challenges are open doors for you to express your creativity and to explore ways for you to improve yourself. That's what Deep Recruiting is all about. Every Monday at 11 a.m. Central, I'm going to bring you a different idea that you can use and you can employ every day in your recruiting process to make you more successful, to make you more competitive, and to make you the most valuable recruiter on the team. We love to hear your questions and problems you're running into. Give us an email at deeprecruiting@teamgtn.com. I'll put that in the notes. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great week. Make a sale, and we certainly appreciate your likes, comments, and shares. Thanks so much. Take care.